There is nothing quite like the Game of Thrones as players weave through political machinations and dynastic relationships. It's unforgiving and cruel, but the rewards are great. In the quest for the Iron Throne, we've seen heroes fall, alliances form, and loyalties betrayed. And across the Narrow Sea, there are 3 dragons waiting to turn this game right on its head. So let's take an exclusive and candid look with 6 stars presenting 5 houses from the game as Gold Derby explores Game of Thrones. Dominating the game are House Lannister, holding on to the throne through Joffrey, Tommen and Cersei for most of the series. I spoke with the actress who plays Cersei, Lena Headey, and the actor who plays her brother and lover Jaime, Nikolai Coster-Waldau, about losing limbs and children in the quest for power in King's Landing.
When Cersei was young, she was told that she would outlive her children. You know, she covers her paranoia with you know, her lust for power. And I mean, she said, if it wasn't for my children, I'd have thrown myself out the window. And there's more truth to that than anything she's ever spoken before. So she's definitely lost a big chunk of her sanity.
Like, she's so cold to so many people on the show, but she had so much love for her children, so much love for Joffrey, someone that the audience is so cold to.
My son is nothing like Joffrey, thank God. But I do understand, you know, the power of a mother's love. It is, you know, it's undeniable and it's intrinsic, and, you know, also she's had nothing of her own. This is something of her. She also talks about that earlier on, about how it was her, you know, Joffrey was at the very least her. She knew he was a monster, but he was her monster.
After he loses his hand, you know, he's not the guy he was. If I had to pick one thing, that would be, if I didn't know about the show, what would be the great thing to take away from Jaime Lannister? Well, that would be his hand. So it's great.
But he's still a guy who pushed a little kid.
No, but imagine. No, wait. Yeah, no, that's true. That's interesting. Yeah. But think about it. Imagine if this movie had been about, if this show had started like a year before, and it's been about this beautiful, impossible love story between Cersei and Jaime, and be together, and finally there is a moment, and this kid that we've seen earlier, this kid Bran, who's a little horrible monster kid, everyone about this, and you're gonna lose your head. And then Jaime pushes him out the window, and he's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe I did that, but I'm gonna save you. I do it to save." You know what I mean? It's all about, when do we start the movie about these persons? But I just think, you know, it's not that clear cut anymore.
And to be fair, Bran said he wouldn't climb anymore. Yeah, he is a sneaky kid.
Say that. And now he gets to fly in his mind. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. No, it was the best thing that could have happened for the kid. So
your words, not mine.
Jaime and Cersei?
I don't think the Cersei thing is very healthy. Not from a moral standpoint. His whole life has been about sacrificing for Cersei. And I just hope for the guy, I hope he will move on, to be honest. I think he maybe loves her more than she loves him.
Give you a chance to give Cersei's side of the story.
I think he'd be great for her if she could get past herself. Or let's say she's frightened of flaws and doesn't want anything broken. She doesn't want to have to fix anybody or take care of anybody. So that shows you how shallow she is. You know, but she also needs him. She needs Jaime, so she'll continue to manipulate him on many levels.
As the Kingslayer, as Jaime, do you think he is would you say he's a great player at the Game of Thrones?
No, he's a soldier, and I think, you know, many soldiers, I think, have little tolerance for politics.
Do you think Cersei's a good player of the game?
She's doing what she can, and as I say, she's not great at asking for help, trusting people, so she's pretty much a loner. So in that way, yeah, she could be, you know, if she was a team player, she'd do better, I think.
Under the Lannister tyranny, skilled players' games have come undone. 2 such games are that of Oberyn of House Martell, whose fortunes in trial by combat took an about-face turn, and Marjorie from House Tyrell, whose game was blown apart by wildfire. I spoke with the actor who played Oberyn, Pedro Pascal, about his character's demise And for Marjorie, I got a chance to speak to the actress who played her, Natalie Dormer, about how her character played the game.
No, I think you're right. I think, Elena, I think the Queen of Thorns, and Marjorie as her wing woman, they had bitten off more than they could chew. So, the Tyrells are very competent, formidable themselves, but I don't think they, necessarily were prepared for the darkness that's in the hearts and the machinations of the Lannisters.
He has the guy on his ass. I want everybody to remember that yes, my head was squished, but I did beat him. All right, let's be clear.
The Viper really got the best in that fight, but sort of stumbled the ball over the touchdown line, didn't he?
Exactly. He let his emotions get the best of him, which is ultimately not a failure on his part, because that's what that guy was all about.
Was he looking for revenge or justice?
I would say that's exactly what got blurred ultimately and may have been his demise.
What do you reckon the makeup is of her sort of political strategy?
A savvy politician can also be sincere about really wanting to solve homeless or orphanage issues. Yet another layer to the Game of Thrones, that this concept of PR, of winning over the general populace by winning their hearts and minds, that's a very modern concept.
A great scene where she's trying to explain to the Lannisters why this could be a good idea.
It doesn't matter whether you're talking about revolutions in Russia in the turn of the century, or whether you're talking about the American Depression. Hungry people are angry people. It's feed flea bottom. Maybe they'll stop attacking you. She's a savvy chick. She knows.
So we've got that scene where Joffrey has got the crossbow on her. He's ready to kill her or scare her or threaten her, and he ends up you're able to turn him around.
For me, playing that scene was not an absence of fear for Marjorie. It was her overcoming her fear, and all the while the cogs going round in her brain. You see her. Well, hopefully, I tried. She's quickly trying to work out how to change tack, and she just thinks very fast. It wasn't that she isn't scared in that scene. It's that she's trying to work out psychologically what makes him work. She's a great observer of people.
The scene with Tyrion, where he's talking about where you go to find justice, and this idea of going to a place without justice in order to find it.
Yeah, it was my first day of shooting, actually. Was that
really
in the cell? Yeah, it was my first day on set with a master of acting, Peter Dinklage, and he just kind of was like, just be here for this. It was the most special day of shooting I've ever had. Really, really. As our own worst critics, it's maybe one of the only scenes that I'm a part of that I can actually watch and enjoy.
So you didn't watch and enjoy the trial by combat?
No, I hate that scene. I was doing Much Ado About Nothing and Shakespeare in the Park in New York City that summer. I think that night I had to go out. And so the next day, even when I showed up to do the next show, I hadn't seen it yet. But many people amongst our crew, they were like, "What are you doing here? You're dead. You're dead, dude. You don't have a head." That's how brilliant they are. They know how to manufacture this excitement and then rip your guts out and stomp your heart out.
Starting off from a formidable position, House Stark has been practically decimated. Probably the only surviving male adult from the family is Jon Snow, who spent most of his time in obliviousness north of the Wall. I got a chance to speak to the man who plays him, Kit Harington, about what the guy actually knows.
For 3 seasons being separated from everything that goes down south of the Wall, and obviously from across the narrow sea with Daenerys, so he's in his own world. And what I really love about him in some ways, and it's infuriating about him, is that he's really stubborn at the heart of it when it comes to his morals and who he is.
There's so much that Jon Snow doesn't know, but I guess there's so much he knows that people south of the Wall don't know.
He's seen that there's this terror coming, and he feels he has a role to play in trying to defend the humans from it. The rest of the kingdoms don't believe it's a myth. It's something that won't happen, and they just think it's the Northerners and the people at the Wall talking nonsense. It becomes more and more prevalent and more dangerous, this threat from this ancient race which is awakening.
We have exiled Mother of Dragons Daenerys Targaryen. Her father was the Mad King, and she's been on a quest to reclaim the Iron Throne that she believes is rightfully hers. With 3 dragons and an ever-growing army of freed slaves, she's making an impressive run. Rob Lucuria and myself got a chance to speak with the actress who plays Khaleesi, Emilia Clarke.
Seen her grow so much over the years, from sort of like this very helpless young girl getting traded off to marriage to sort of this strong leader. What do you think the most important thing Dany's learnt over this sort of 3-season journey on the show?
I think one of the biggest things that she's learned is to trust herself, really, is to kind of, she's all she's got, and in trusting in that, she's now got a strong army, 3 dragons, 3 advisors, and kind of she continues to trust in her own strength, and she's just going to get stronger and stronger.
Your perspective on playing such a strong and empowered woman.
It's an absolute dream, and to get to play one where I've been with her on the journey of self-discovery in that sense, not because of the men that are around her, kind of in spite of the men that are around her in a very male-dominated society. It's wonderful. It's wonderful getting to be the character that's kicking ass. It doesn't always happen for girls, so I love it.
You definitely are kicking ass. What would you say is Dany's big weakness?
Whilst she has seen a huge amount for someone her age, and whilst she's been through a huge amount and is wise beyond her years, she's also still quite quick to call on things, and quick to kind of have her opinion, and quick to judge. And I think that later on, I think the best thing about Dany is that she learns from her mistakes really, really very quickly. So hopefully it won't prove to be too much of a problem later on.
Are you dying to get across the narrow sea?
Yeah, I am very much like Dany, that I'm desperate to get over to Westeros where everyone else is. Yeah, I am. I cannot wait.
We don't see Daenerys sending heaps of ravens, and I thought that could perhaps be because she's got the letterhead would take up too much of the page. She's got so many titles, from Daenerys Targaryen, Stormborn, the Blood of Old Valyria, Khaleesi, Mother of Dragons,
I've got a lot of names.
Rightful Queen of the Iron Throne, and you added one, Breaker of Chains. What was that?
I didn't personally jump my feet until they had a Breaker of Chains.
Do you have a favourite? If you had to pick one title for Daenerys, what would the title be?
Mother of Dragons.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I was gunning for.
Dany,
well.
Mother of Dragons.
You can't beat Mother of Dragons.
No, MOD.
MOD,
sure.
man.
You wish.
Mod.
I love it.
And don't tell me the Game of Thrones cast doesn't know how to have a good time. Nikolai helped me catch Kit out with a story involving a real-life wall climb.
Yeah, what do you want us to ask Kit for you?
How did you break your ankle?
Okay. Yeah,
And
so
then,
you...
and the follow-up question would be...
Oh, good. Do my work for me.
If...
Okay.
No, the follow-up question would just be, who did you call for in the street to make your friends realize that you were in trouble? If he hasn't mentioned that. If he mentions it, it's fine, but I doubt he will.
Okay, yeah, no, I don't think he will. So, Kit, our next question is, how did you break your ankle last year?
I'm not going to lie. I left my keys inside my flat, and I slightly over the limit and decided to try and climb up through my bedroom window to retrieve them. I kind of think I probably, in my slightly inebriated state, thought I was Jon Snow or something at the time, and failed and fell down, and I broke my ankle, and it was one of the biggest mistakes of my life, and I don't recommend anyone. And I was very lucky that I could get back on my feet to do thrones at the time I did.
And we've got to follow up on that one. Who did you call for in the street to make your friends realize you're in trouble?
Where did that question come from? I can't remember. I was screaming, and I was left on the street for a little while because I think everyone either thought I was a drunk or something. And eventually my next door neighbours came out and helped me. But I can't remember who I called for.
Oh, no. Well, those two questions come from courtesy of Nikolai Coster-Waldau.
He's a cheeky Dane, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Nikolai, I called for my mum. There you go, you got it.
There we go.
So I hope that's whet your appetite for the politics, intrigue, and relationships of Game of Thrones. Thanks for watching.
Who are you rooting to win the Game of Thrones?
I'd love to see Sam on the throne. I think it'd be wicked.